Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be talking about the insanity of flying tanks. So yes, before we quickly get into the video, I'm just going to say this. 96% of you guys are not subscribed. Please subscribe, okay? It really helps the channel. I really appreciate it, and it helps me grow. You know, it's really hard for smaller YouTubers like me to get our opinions seen and our points heard when you're competing with the people with 1 million plus subscribers or several 100,000, you know? So any subscriptions are greatly appreciated and it really helps. That out of the way, let's get on to the video. So there are a lot of downsides to flying tanks, but there is actually one upside that makes them questionably worth it. Not really, not at all. The overall effort that you have to go through to get a flying tank is insane. But there is one redeeming factor. It's the ability to deploy your forces further. And this is the big thing a lot of people would probably find most useful about it. A flying tank would allow you to put your assets behind enemy lines. So say there's an enemy base here that you want to take out, well, send a squadron of flying tanks. They'll destroy it, hold the territory until your forces catch up with them and penetrate through the lines, or maybe come in behind the enemy trenches and launch an assault from the rear. Seriously, look at Ukraine right now where they've got to take on Russian trenches from the very front. You know, just saying, some tanks from behind would quickly deal with those things. You see, that's the main use case for these vehicles. It offers you this capacity to hit the opponents from the rear, hit them in certain areas that they wouldn't expect it, and cause a lot of damage. So with that all out of the way, it would be a great idea, right? Well, no. No, it's not. Because there are some problems. And the first and the greatest of these problems is that you have to develop it. Allow me to explain this. Many planes that are of about medium size weigh less than an M113. Okay? An M113 is actually rather light, but it comes in about, I think, something like 12 or so thousand kilograms. Now, that's a light armored vehicle. We're talking tanks here, okay? We're talking real tanks. These things can weigh up to 60 tons. Tanks can weigh, with light tanks being about 20 or so tons, all the way up to 60, and I think there was one or two that's about 70. The thing is, you have to build a system that can lift it. You have to build a system that can fly this tank from point A to point B. And not only that, but it has to be operated from within a tank. Because otherwise it won't be a flying tank, it'll just be a plane dropping off tanks from the back. And as anyone would probably guess, it's a bad idea. And you see, this is where the huge issue lies. Is that to develop this system, it's going to be incredibly long, incredibly wide. For the capacity to carry, take, for example, a British heavy tank. So this was in World War II when your tanks were basically a factor of 10 smaller, right? A light tank would have maybe, a small, maybe 20 millimeter cannon. A heavy tank would have a 40, 50 millimeter cannon. And if you're really, really feeling spicy and feeling really interested for that day, we might even jazz it up and throw a 75 millimeter cannon on. You see, as you can probably expect and probably tell, that's not really too great in the modern day where it's considered weak to have a 105mm cannon mounted on a tank. Just saying. And it's a light tank if it has a 100, very often that have 105mm cannons or 90mm cannons, which are vastly larger models than the ones that were on World War II British tanks. This is where the problem lies, and this is the whole issue. It's that the weight of this vehicle and the size of this vehicle is going to be so much larger. But for a British tank in World War II, it was something about the weight. It was something required around 60 meters for the wingspan of your aircraft to lift it reliably. And this was one of the smaller ones. And this is the huge issue. It's that now you've developed it, you've made the thing, now you've got to hope that the opponents don't see it. In the day and age of long-range missiles, strategic bombers, stealth aircraft, you're now going to have to sit here with your plane or tank that's got a massive wingspan and hope no one sees it. Okay? And that's a huge problem, as you could probably guess. But of course it doesn't end there either, because now you got to fly your tank across enemy territory with your 60-meter wingspan aircraft that will be shot at by literally everything. And the thing is, anti-air missiles tend to be a bit bigger than anti-tank missiles. And this is the whole problem. The whole problem that faces the concept of flying tanks is ultimately that it's just really difficult to pull off. It's not something that can be reliably done. And they're very big, heavy vehicles that will be easy targets for literally any Russian who has a Tunguska anti-air system, a German that has a Gepard, I don't know, hopefully that's correct, or whatever other gun. Like, anyone with a weapon system that can shoot effectively will be targeting you. They don't even need to be advanced systems. They could be basic-ass World War II style weapons, because there's no actual requirements. And then, of course, even if by some... and this is the thing, right? And the thing is, it's that unlikely that you'd even actually make it to the base, or make it to your target, that you'd have a crew of atheists, they'd probably be Christian at the end of it. Because you'd require that much of a miracle for them to survive to the objective, that anything else beyond that point, we may as well just imagine it from there on. Because just making it to the objective is insane enough. And of course it keeps going on from there. Because now you're in deep behind enemy territory, you get pinned down, use up all your ammunition, fire all your shots off, or suddenly you're stuck here without resupply, you can't reload. And there's all these strategic issues and massive problems that face the concept of using flying tanks. So, as an analyst, no, nobody buy these things, okay? But as a person who looks at this from a perspective of, who also has that side of, I like weird, wacky military equipment, I have to say it's actually a really interesting idea. Because ultimately there is some sense to it, right? It's not quite on the tier of trying to make an aircraft carrier out of ice. And the Japanese did actually use it in World War II in the Philippines. I don't know how effective it was, if at all, but they did do it. So it is possible that it could work out. But I don't recommend it at all. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you guys all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye.